Just got hit in the head with a drip of water.
We have infiltrated by wildlife and water.
The bane of our build. If we had known then what we know now. When I find heart-shaped rocks, I know things are good. Welcome to our channel, Creating a Simpler Life in the Adirondacks. I'm Kathy, and for the past year, my husband Rich and I have been building our dream home, an unconventional, off-grid, earth-sheltered house here in the Adirondacks. We made it through the long winter, and we finally began building our retaining walls this summer. It has been a long process, and the final pour will be this Wednesday. So as we count down to finishing our walls, we thought we would take a minute to share some information about the bane of our build. Just got hit in the head with a drip of water. More rain today, but that drip came from up there on the beam. Richie's closing the windows, and we're making plans to get this thing covered as fast as we can, as soon as these walls are done. What are you doing?
Trying to close it.
Oh, the top won't come in. I see it.
Won't come in. Need like a suction cup or something.
A little steel wool in the hole. I mean, for the price of these windows, I can't believe that we have to do this.
Yeah, no, we'll be taking it apart and fixing it with some wood putty or whatever we gotta do.
I mean, this doesn't even look nice. Is this the finished? No, there's a metal piece that goes over this, right?
I believe there is a metal piece that caps it over, yeah.
That's right. Okay. All right. Mice hole plugged. Everything's been cleaned up and taken care of. So it looks good up here. Now we just need the rain to stop. Oh, honey, did you use red tape to shut that window?
I did. Yeah, I made a little hole. I couldn't find my suction cup.
We're still waiting. The walls will be done Wednesday, hopefully. And we've sprung a new leak up here by the beam. And somehow it's dripping downstairs. I just don't see where it's coming from.
That leak may have been there all along, but the tarps are now gone.
Yeah, the tarps.
So
that's right. The tarps are they're just a mess outside.
They're weathered and torn and done.
That's what our tarp looks like in the wind. Well, they definitely did their duty over the winter. We've literally been uncovered for over a year. Enough is enough now.
Yeah, it's time.
Besides dealing with leaks and mouse holes, we also built some shelves for the master closet, which were not only challenging because of the angles and curved walls, but because we're trying to repurpose all the leftover maple plywood.
Shelf bracket.
I think that's great, honey. There's the bane of our build.
Hindsight, right?
I think we're really going to love it when it's all done.
Just the second floor of this, what made it super tall.
Yeah, it was a last minute decision to just add that on so that we could have a bathroom on the second floor for guests. But it's caused so many problems.
Yeah, it's one of those things that looked good on paper.
So there it is. The bane of our build is the second floor of the utility room annex. It was one of those last-minute decisions when finalizing the blueprints, and we just thought, well, why not? We can't add it later, and it would really be nice to have a bathroom in the loft for guests. Unfortunately for us, we didn't really think that through before making the decision, and it has created a lot of difficulties since day one of the dome build. We got more rain and more leaks today. What's the matter, honey?
Is that a big giant grasshopper on the inside of the window or the outside of the window?
What?
Is that a big giant grasshopper?
I see it.
Where is he? In between?
Oh, honey, he's in between the windows. It's like he crawled up. He'd be in our house if it wasn't for that piece of foam there. Aw, he's stuck. He can't get out. Oh, Richie.
Well, he found a way in. He's going to have to find his way out.
Oh.
He's being infiltrated by wildlife and water.
Wildlife and water? There's always some leftover concrete when they pour, so on Monday, when our friends Ken, Sue, Dan, and Joan came to visit, the guys helped Rich get the forms for the sidewalk in front of the solar panel ready so they could finish that, and they started making more forms for some additional slab stepping stones. It was raining on and off, so they didn't get to finish, but while they were doing that, us girls were just staying dry in the dome and saving a grasshopper. What you doing?
Washing a little mud off my shoes there.
It's a muddy day, that's for sure. So that was nice. They came and helped out today. We realized there were problems the first day that we raised the steel beams. As you can see in the picture, the two barrel beams for the utility annex are only connected by a few bolts at the bottom. They were basically wobbling around and would not have stayed upright in a strong wind. The main dome barrel beams are connected by the steel floor supports, but there was absolutely nothing to hold the utility beams together. We made some wooden pieces to keep their distance from each other consistent, and we had to tie them off with ropes from two directions to hold them in place. That same first day, we also realized how difficult it was going to be to make the bends in the rebar to connect the main dome to the utility room annex. This would have had to be done even with only a first floor annex, but it would prove to become more and more difficult the higher we went. Quick update on the solar. It's a cloudy day today, but we are still charging. It's 12:30 in the afternoon. It should theoretically be our highest charge point of the day, but with all these clouds, it's not, of course. Well, it is for today, but it's not what we'll get on a sunny day. So we're taking in 2,190 watts, so 160, 150. Yeah, we just passed the maximum, or it's gotten cloudier. But we're taking over in over a little over 2,000 watts right now, even on a cloudy day. We're only using 140 watts, so 1,850 watts is charging the batteries. So we'll fill the sidewalk first, and then some stepping stones. Ropes are holding still. So the rebar is a challenge. Somehow we have to bring this dome straight over and attach it to the curved part of that dome. And that's not going to be so easy. This beam here that you see, that goes all the way up, that beam's not even going to stay there at the end. So we can't attach anything to that. That gets cut out. I think I figured out a plan. If we lay all the horizontals this way and then temporarily put one in like this, we could figure out where those corners are. That's the hardest part, is getting those corners done. So that is the challenge. When we realized the rebar was beyond our capabilities, we hired bar busters. Bar busters tie rebar for a living. Their first day on the job, they quickly realized how difficult those annex to dome connections would be. They agreed that it would work to put rebar horizontally around the whole back of the dome and then run the horizontal annex rebar straight until it hit that curve. Reinforce those connections with extra rebar and ties, and then finally, when it was all done, cut out that inside part. However, as soon as they started making the connection from the very top of the annex all the way across to the top of the dome, they realized we had an even bigger problem.
Fantastic, don't it?
It does. So Rich and I have a little more homework now. Last week's homework was to bend rebar for the corners or for the annex connections. This week we have a little bit of a problem. There's a slump up there. So then there's really no support, so the number 4 rebar slumps.
Slump? Sag.
Sags?
Sags?
And it'll sag even more when we go to put the number 4
around it.
Yeah.
At the top.
Exactly. So what do we have to do, Richie?
They recommended us get some more number 5 rebar.
A dozen of them.
Yeah, which is
20 feet long. Right?
And they're going to run those up and over.
They're going to run 6 on this side, and then 6 on the other side, straight to the top of the dome and the side of the dome. And then they're going to go over that with number 4. And it'll be much more rigid, sturdier, because the number 5 rebar doesn't bend and slump so easy. If we didn't do the second floor on that annex, it wouldn't have been a problem. The second floor made it so tall that the higher you went, the further you were from connecting to the dome. They completely fixed that area where it was drooping. They used some number 5 rebar, they braced it up, they tied it nice and tight, and they got it to hold the shape. And it looks great. They cut out the extra horizontals on the back of the main dome. And even though the foam backing was challenging at those corner connections, the final result after shotcrete was better than we could have hoped for. Wednesday was a very exciting day. It was the third and final pour, or pump, for our massive retaining walls. They started with the smallest wall, the 12-foot wall, because it was the only wall being done in one pour. Then they moved on to the first of the 2 extra high walls next to the utility room annex. They're on the second little pour, and then they have one more left after this. A little bit of the top of the other wall on the other side. They're smoothing down the first wall, and I believe they put some plasma in the concrete to make it a little stiffer so that they could get that angled part of the wall. They said they want to leave these here for about 48 hours before they come back and start taking the forms off. And they said by Monday next week, everything should be done. So stay tuned for the big reveal, hopefully coming next week. That wall right there, that really tall 18.5 foot to 20 foot high wall, if you include the footer, that's a wall on the side of the utility annex, and that annex is the bane of our build. This is what made this job so hard and made so many people not want to do this for us. So kudos to Miller Concrete. They are amazing, amazing, amazing. This job, it was a little too big for the small residential guys and a little too small for the big commercial guys. So they basically did us a huge favor, and we can't stress how thankful we really truly are that we found them. If we were to ever do a house like this again, we would shotcrete those retaining walls. We would build them at the same time as the house, and we would have them shotcreted from inside or outside. They were even nice enough to take a few minutes out of their day to show me how to smooth out the concrete and brush it for a nice finish. Just a nice...
Just, you can feel the firmness.
Oh, there you go.
So you want to try?
Okay.
Just a little bit of pressure. You'll feel it start to touch in. And then if you start getting too much cream on it, you'll feel it on the broom. You shake it off.
You know what? I'm no pro, but that looks pretty straight.
They're taking it apart. Now that the walls are done, we are faced with new challenges because of that second floor annex. How to finish the pit.
We had a ton of rain last night, so I just want to see if any water filled up in the pit. Just need to see.
We need to figure out a way, probably using ladders, to get into the pit, waterproof the walls with the very heavy membrane, up and over the annex, which seems even higher now that the walls are done, add the foam insulation, fill the pit with gravel, then dirt, add more insulation, then add the umbrella covering meant to wick the water away, and then more dirt on top of that, and somehow include some drainage, and, well, you can see our problems. Any helpful advice on how to do this is very welcome. Please leave a comment below. Anyway, looking back, in hindsight, there's a few things we could have, maybe should have, done differently. First of all, we could have decided not to add that second floor at all and saved ourselves many, many headaches over this past year. However, even after making that quick last-minute decision, if we had known then what we know now, this is what we would have done. First, we would have ordered one more curved beam for the back of the main dome. And instead of putting the curved beam in the center, we would have moved that one over to one of the two intersections with the annex, and the additional beam we would have purchased would have gone to the other side. This would have not only solved the problem of trying to connect the annex to the dome, but we also wouldn't need to cut out that curved center beam in the future. Second, we would have ordered a sort of top beam that would have connected the two annex barrels together, and then another beam a little bit longer that would have connected the annex to the dome at the hub. This would have resolved the problem of the sagging number 4 rebar over that long distance from the annex barrel to the center of the main dome. Also would have meant adding 2 more connections to the hub, but if we had known all of this before ordering the steel, it really would not have only been so simple. It would have actually made connecting the annex to the dome with rebar and doing the foam backing at the corner connections so much easier. I'm sure when it's all done, we'll be really happy we decided to add it. We're creating a simpler life here in the Adirondacks, but simple doesn't mean easy. See you in the next video.